Well, it's been a while, I know, but welcome back. I haven't done any reviews mostly because I don't have a computer with cameras around here, and, you know, I gotta get places with people who have cameras. And, well, recently there's been a movie called Doctor Strange that's come out, and I figured, why not build up on the hype and review that? Which I'm gonna do. First of all, I gotta give it to them because most movies with CGI, no practical effects, they look fake and you can tell, oh my gosh, that's not really there. You know, it's like, it was kind of like somehow how Jurassic World was sometimes, like that, not the actors, the raptors. It's like, oh, those things aren't there, those don't exist. Whereas in the original, it was practical effects. The puppet T-Rex, well, not puppet, animatronic one, it was actually there. It actually looked like a real dinosaur was there. You got that real feel. So, CGI nowadays, that hasn't been the case with Marvel that much. Well, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I thought with Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange, the comic book, is about a sorcerer. Well, not he wasn't a sorcerer at first. He was a doctor, but he was in a car wreck, and his hands got to where they couldn't move. At least that's how it was in the movie. He got into a car wreck, and like I said, and hands couldn't move. Looked for ways to cure it, so he goes to this monastery and learns magic. Anyway, the first thing I noticed is the effects, despite being CGI, looked darn amazing. Like, it looked like it was all actually their actual stuff happening. You couldn't tell it was fake. It actually looked real, convincing. Like, you could reach out and touch it and run your hand through it and all that and feel something. Like, they just did that good with it, and I didn't see all of the effects, like the great effects, because I was recently in a wreck and I hit my head real hard, and I guess the doctors were scared I'd have seizures, so I have to take medicine for seizures, and I'd watch it, and I remember when I had seizures when I was younger, I couldn't look at bright flashy lights and all that, because I guess that could cause me to have a seizure, so I kind of closed my eyes on that part or looked away from the screen. But most of the effects and out of this world stuff, though, from what I did see, actually looked like it was actually there. Like, I don't know what they do to do it, like how, honestly, they just did it, and I've got to give them their credit. In fact, that movie should. I'm surprised these movies haven't won any Oscars for effects, with as good as they were. And, you know, and in a way and like I said, it is good, but in a way it does take the fantasy part out of it because it looks so real, but got to give them credit for actually convincing you. Hopefully other movies can take notion of that and, follow suit, and movies can become more convincing, like more out of this world stuff. Like Star Wars became more convincing looking, and Star Trek, and like I said, Civil War became convincing, all of this stuff. The acting, spot on, I gotta say, they all got into their roles, and I really enjoyed watching them and seeing them interact, and this ain't, and it felt a lot more isolated from other Marvel movies because this wasn't something you saw before. This was new and original, kind of like Ant-Man, its own thing, and it was really interesting, and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, I was skeptical at first because he had the voice, I think, that fit Doctor Strange, but not the looks. I pictured Johnny Depp more as Doctor Strange, but apparently he said no to it, and I was just like, darn, that sucks. Well, I'll give Benedict Cumberbatch a chance, and it turns out that while he didn't have the age look that I wanted, he still did a pretty darn good job acting the part out, and he was so funny in that movie and had so many funny lines with the villain, and oh my gosh, it was just hilarious. Like, I couldn't laugh because my ribs would hurt if I laughed because I broke my ribs in the wreck. Well, shattered, broke, whatever. And so, but if I could have laughed, I probably would have been thrown out of the theater for laughing so much. He was so amazing in that role, and oh my gosh, he just hit that role on the head and just threw himself out there. Like, I liked him more than Robert Downey Jr., I think, as Tony Stark. Like, he played a guy that got, well, I mean, Tony Stark did this too, but, he played a guy that got rid of his ego. He could transition from the arrogant surgeon to the egoless sorcerer so good and convinced me that he was making that transition. I just thought that was just groundbreaking and great. And the storyline, I didn't like the story too much because, you know, it's just another superhero movie where, you know, basically romance interest, villain, origin. You've seen that before in other Marvel movies, but hey, you got to start somewhere and show, especially his origin, because, you know, you haven't really seen it. Like, you haven't really seen Iron Man or Thor's or anything. Whereas, you know, like, they skipped Spider-Man's origins in Civil War because you've seen that twice in Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man, you know? And heck, even in the Amazing Spider-Man TV series that was on in the 70s, I think. So, you know, I mean, they're just some heroes you kind of got to show the origin and get past that and really get into the good stuff. So, I mean, the story was okay, but at the same time, it disappointed me because I thought they were going to build up more and really, I don't know, let it flesh itself out instead of rushing it. And so I was disappointed in that. And spoiler alert, spoiler alert, Mordo, an antagonist in the comic books, you know, he tells Doctor Strange he's not going to live like this at the end of the movie and walks off. I'm just sitting there like, uh-oh, they made that quite obvious. They couldn't wait a few movies for that and branch it out, but, you know, oh well, it's comic accurate. And also, spoiler alert, Dormammu is in this, and he's not orange with a flaming head. He's this purplish, well, not purple, well, yeah, sort of purplish looking guy, and I just hated it. I just wanted to scream at the screen. And also, speaking of comic book inaccuracies, they made, like, I'm not racist, you know, so don't accuse me, but Mordo was white in the comics. It's like Johnny Storm was white in the comics, but, you know, I didn't mind him being African American. You know, he was cool either way, and I liked Mordo in this movie. And but what really made me mad was in the comic books, like in Doctor Strange, there's this person called the Ancient One who teaches Doctor Strange and mentors him, and I guess in the comics is killed by maybe Dormammu or whoever, but and it's a Tibetan man, you know. Well, in the movie, the Ancient One, as you've probably seen from the trailers, is a Caucasian woman. And I'm just like, what the heck did y'all do? Y'all gender swapped? Y'all race swapped? You made her white. You don't do, well, him white. You don't do that. You don't make him a woman, but they did anyway. And they said originally he was written as sexless, but they got a woman to play him. And I'm just like, why did y'all do that? Like, Wong is Asian in this movie, and when I saw Wong in the trailer, I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, the Ancient One ain't exactly how I pictured, but cool, I'll take him. But then I found out Ancient One was a woman. I was like, what the heck? No, you don't do that. But who am I kidding, though? Because still a cool character, just too darn different from the comic books. Just like, what was I saying? No, not saying. Never mind. I was thinking of something, but I forgot it. Sorry. Anyway, but yeah, it's a comic book inaccuracy, and that's really what made me mad, was the inaccuracies and the storyline. You know, it's just that stuff, but like I said, the effects really nailed it, and the acting. And yes, there's a post-credits, well, mid-credits scene that hints at other Marvel movies, and you see a surprised face. This one actually surprised me, and I almost laughed my tail off at it. And it really set up the tone for another Marvel movie, and really kind of leaves you wondering and actually hoping for a more amazing film next time. And, you know, it opens a lot more doors for the Marvel Universe, I think, because everything else has been, spoiler alert, it's like they said in, I guess, I can't remember if it was Wong or the Ancient One, but, you know, one of them said the Avengers focused on physical things, we focus on spiritual. Which means they fight all this out of this world stuff like that. That's on a different realm than the Avengers, and that pretty much forms it. So, you know, what if that stuff got mixed with the Avengers and they had to face stuff like that? What could they do? Like, it really opens more doors for the Avengers, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think ultimately people who are Marvel fans, and even if you're not a Marvel fan, should definitely watch this and give it a try, because it's worth it. It's an amazing film with great acting, story. I mean, I've said this before, great acting, story, effects, post-credit scene, all that stuff. It's really groundbreaking, and So yeah, give it a shot. Ultimately, if you can get past the storyline and all that, I say see it. It's great, and I hope you like this review. Like, comment, whatever y'all do. And I'm not good with closing. I'm not gonna do that's all, folks, because that'd be copyright infringement. So, bye.